Okay, everyone, welcome, welcome. This is our 28th day of the live stream, Practical Creativity. Very excited to have with us today a beautiful human being, an amazingly brilliant, talented person with a huge heart, Jennifer Wharton, my grad school buddy who's now living the dream, playing on Broadway, has amazing husband and pets, and a wonderful place to be. So of course, I had to have her on. She's an entrepreneur. She's a creative person and hilarious. So, with that introduction, practical creativity is basically we're here to unpack the creative process, how creative people actually work, so that we can learn from it and apply it in our lives and our work. So, Jennifer, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're up to right now.
Well, you said a lot. I usually make most of my living on Broadway, and that is shut down right now. So right now, trying to stay inspired and motivated. I'm preparing, like gathering music and following up on commissions that I've had composers do for, I can't speak English, by the way, for my next album for my band, which my band's name is called Bonegasm. As you can guess, it's trombone related. So that we should be recording in the early fall, and then hopefully have it all done by a finished, completed product in March. But it's been hard. This quarantine has shown me a lot of the areas in life, in my musical career, that I am deficient in terms of audio technology and videography and stuff that I normally you would pay somebody else to do. So I've been forced to learn some very basic video editing, very basic audio stuff, just to try and bring myself up to the level of where I probably should have been. But and in terms of other stuff, I'm also cooking a lot, so that's helping my creative juices flow. And making cocktails, cooking with liquor.
Cooking with liquor. All right. No ends to the creativity. And I totally hear you about learning new skills. I have, in the days that we've been doing this, learned how to live stream on 3 platforms, at least when Facebook is allowing us to actually get the stream out there to Facebook. So sorry about the glitch today. We will be posting it on Facebook and on YouTube. So tell us more. I've seen these photos, these videos, I mean, where people like you are actually playing simultaneously, and it's like a Zoom call, but you're like in all these different squares, sometimes playing with yourself. So what software are you using? How did you learn how to do that? And like, what was that all like? Were you hearing each other in real time? Like, that seems like an artistic challenge, right?
Yes, it was. So a lot of people use an app called Acapella, and the free version, I believe you can, it has limitations. I think you may only be able to record a minute of content. And then if you pay for it, you can do various things like collaborate with other people. I found some limitations with that. I did a few like really short things with myself, but I don't really enjoy playing duets with myself. I mean, it's a good way to pass the time, but it wasn't really, something I enjoyed a lot. So when I realized I wanted to do a video where we're all playing with my band, I wrote the tune. I said, "Do you think we could do this?" And he said, "Yes." I can mix the audio, but I wouldn't be able to do the video. So that's what inspired me to learn how to do some basic video stuff. And how we did it is he has kind of really good MIDI sounds. So he sent out kind of a music -1 track for all of us to play to. And then each track would come back to him and he would mix it. And then the final thing came together pretty quickly after that. And for me, while people were recording their videos usually to their laptop or computer, they would also record video, their audio to the laptop or computer. They would record video on their iPhone or some sort of like Zoom camera. And then that would come to me, and I had to learn how to, line everything up and learn how to splice between shots and make it look like hide edges of shots, because not everybody's resolution was the same, or picture size was the same. So it was learning. And I'm not great at it, but it came out well. So it's on my YouTube channel if anybody's interested.
Well, we'll post it in the notes so that everybody can see it. So what software did you use to learn how to do that, and how long did that take?
Oh, okay. So I was using Filmora, which everybody recommended that I use Adobe or Final Cut Pro. I'm on PC, so I can't use Final Cut Pro. So I downloaded Adobe, and my computer said, no, thank you. You can't run this. It's not strong enough. So Filmora told me the same thing, but it would still allow me to open up the program. So I had to edit everything like individual videos, and I couldn't watch at the same time. Otherwise the computer would crash. It's just my graphics driver is not where it should be. But maybe when I start working again, I'll buy a new computer.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 weeks from when I started learning until we put the video out. So that's pretty good turnaround time.
That's really good.
And
Steady.
my husband and I are making nightly videos, and they're about a minute each or less. And so I'm still using it and learning new things as we go. So it's been fun.
Yeah, so tell us, I've been watching those too. Those are really fun. You and John are like the power trombone couple of the world, and you're both really fun, really funny people. And there's just like I was saying before the call started, it's just both of you and your personalities. It's just like a little nugget where I get to feed that part of me that's like, I'm missing Jen and John. So tell us why you decided to do that and what it's called. Yeah, tell us all about it.
Well, it's called Question of the Day with John Fedchuk from Shay Fedchuk. And it started kind of by accident. During the quarantine, we were sitting in one of our nightly cocktails. And he, I just took out my camera and I said, IPA or lager? And he said, IPA. And I put it on the internet. And then the next day I put a frame around it. And then it kind of has been getting more and more involved since then. But I think a lot of us creative people are struggling to, one, remain relevant, two, remain engaged, not just with other people, but also with our creativeness inside. Yes. And, for me, it varies day to day, but also varies like during the day. Most of us have not experienced something like this before. So I'm just kind of allowing myself to have my freakouts and kind of be sad and when I'm sad and, happy when I'm happy. And I'm trying not to question it a lot, but like I tend to be on the depressed side. Making other people laugh makes me feel better, which is why I try so hard. But, so when I get really down, I kind of feel like, okay, I need to change something up and I need to either do something or learn something or take a nap, basically.
I love it. Good advice also. I love what you're saying. I relate to it so much. It's kind of like we're in this situation we can't really control much, right? We're being ordered to just do a thing, which is it can, like, your own emotional life can go up and down within the minute, right?
Yeah.
So I think what you're sharing is really, really good to hear. And it's something that I've experienced too, which is just like, let yourself be and to feel the things. And I think we're often kind of expected to like have it all together and be productive, but we are in an unprecedented time. So being able to give ourselves just permission to feel and to be, and to not have all the answers, because no one has the answers, but just to allow yourself to experience being human, being alive in this very uncertain time, like not knowing what is going to happen and what the world will look like at the end of this whole thing. Hopefully there will be an end of it, right?
Yeah. I think most musicians are pretty scared about that too, because by all accounts, what we do can't happen unless there's mass amount of people getting together. So it seems like it's a long way off until that is going to happen. Now maybe I'm wrong. I'm not, I'm not a specialist in disease and epidemics, but pandemics. But I think, a lot of people are scared. So
Yeah.
gotta do something.
For sure. And I also relate to what you're saying about when you don't know what to do and you want to change up the energy, just like getting into creative mode or like going outside and getting some air, whatever, playing with your amazing dogs or whatever it happens to be.
I also just ripped apart our spare room. So
Okay.
Marte has actually stayed in our spare room. It is
Yeah.
now ripped apart. So that's also giving me something else to do when I can't handle like the thought of sitting down to my trombone, And that happens. I'm actually shocked because I went through that the phase where I'm like, I'm going to be super productive and get all this stuff done. I'm going to practice every day, 6 times a day, and it's going to be this and this and this. And then I was like, I watched my student go through this too, where he was having a hard time practicing, and I was like, I eventually got there too, and I was like, okay, I'm going to practice. That's obviously going to happen, but I need to have a couple other things going on for my sanity.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think I'm reading 9 books right now. So but I like variety and I get bored very easily. So, I'm reading Crazy Rich Asians, The Lean Startup, Everyday Work of Art, and a whole bunch of other things just because I hear you. I need to pour myself into things like live streaming. So also tell us more about Bonegasm. So why did you start the group, and tell us more about the name?
Well, Bonegasm, it's not porn. My band is 4 trombones plus rhythm section. We're playing sort of modern jazz music, I'd say. It's ensemble based. There's no one person that's like sticking out as the soloist. I do as a bass trombone player. It's not super common to be considered like, everybody knows the name Miles Davis. Chances are you don't know the name of a bass trombone player. And there's a reason for that. It's just like of the jobs that have been assigned to bass trombone throughout history have been not jazz soloist. Now, there are plenty of people that are changing this. And for me, in forming this group, I wanted to mostly have it be where it was comfortable, but also pushing the envelope for me, for my skill set. And so where I'm comfortable is in a big band, a section of 4 trombone players. So that's why we have 4 trombone players. All of them are great composers. Actually, everybody in the band composes music. And I formed it in 2017. I was going through a shoulder surgery. So how I've wasted most of my time in my adult life has been doing triathlons. And I couldn't do triathlons because my shoulder was messed up, and it was my slide arm. So I was like, it caused me to sort of reevaluate, okay, I'm putting all this effort into doing this hobby that costs a lot and is not furthering my career at all. And a great woman named Ingrid Jensen, trumpet player, she had told me a while back that I should do something that was my own. And so I created this band, and it's been so awesome, and I've learned so much, and I've learned that I have a lot to learn too, to be able to hang with all the talent that's in the band. But I bring my own thing to it, and it's like I said, it's an ensemble, and I think the end result is more than the sum of its parts. It's really it's something special to me, and I feel like people can hear that in the music. And the biggest compliment I've received is that someone will come to a show and they'll be like, oh, it took me a minute to realize there were 4 trombones playing, because it sounds kind of like a novelty. And that's why the next project is, the title of the album is called Not a Novelty, and it's referencing a review that we got. Someone said, I think it was Dan Bilowski, said, from afar it might sound like a novelty, but the music argues successfully against that.
All right.
And I was like, you totally get it. You totally get exactly what we're doing here. So I hope to continue to do that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So how do you balance being kind of this group founder, this entrepreneur, amidst all of the other things that you are doing? You're obviously married, and you have a very busy husband, you have a household, you have pets, you also have a Broadway career, you have your own recordings and stuff, and obviously events all over the country usually. Which I hope will come back soon.
Yes.
But how do you balance it all?
I can't say that I'm an expert. For both my husband and I, we both give each other permission to accept every gig, because that's what we're taught. Marte, you know this as well as anybody. We're taught say yes to everything. And it's hard to get out of that mindset. I think I'm better about it now that I'm older, because I do have, full life outside of music. So I do turn down things occasionally because no, I want to hang out with my husband, or I turned something down because it was going to be, the 6 hours I was going to see John when he was home between flying places. It's still, though, it's hard for me to do that. And we've canceled vacations for gigs. We've canceled trips home for gigs. But then on the other side of that is, if we get a gig somewhere, sometimes we can build in seeing family, seeing friends, and trying to get other gigs on top of that. It gives us, another excuse to go out there. Because anytime we both leave the house together, we're paying for dog sitting, and, it becomes a thing. But I spent a lot of time walking to and from the subway, a lot of time on the subway. And it can be pretty crazy. Usually in the winter, it's been pretty crazy for me the last few years. So I just kind of have to let it happen to me and just find places to nap. That's the secret.
I like it. I like it. Oh, that's so great. And you're a trombonist, bass trombonist, and you're a woman. So I don't know a whole lot of low brass women. Tell us about what that was like. Like, what was it like finding your way to the trombone, and what was it like in school, and then creating your career, especially now, like the, girl boss leader of this band. It's so awesome. But, what was that like?
Well, now there are a lot more women doing what I do, which is great. It's awesome. But for a long time, I was the chick trombone player. And when that changed, it was kind of a thing. That's when my friend Ingrid said to me that, because I can't hold on to that persona anymore, that's when I need something of my own. And she was totally right. It took me too long to do it, but to form my own band, I should have done it earlier. But I didn't have the idea, one, and I didn't want to just do it, just throw together a band and play some standards. I wanted it to be something that I wholeheartedly believed in. And that's what this is. But for me as a woman coming up, like, yes, people say, oh, that's a guy's instrument. Yeah, okay, fine, whatever. They could say that about anything. Unless you operate an instrument with your genitals, it doesn't belong to either gender, just honestly. But
well said, Jen. Well said.
And if you operate it with your genitals, it's not meant for children.
See, it's so funny. I love it.
I stole that, but it's worth repeating. But I was always kind of a tomboy, so being around the dudes never really bugged me. When I got older and it became more sexualized, I see like women going one of two ways. One, like being the pal, or being the sexy one. And now it's not so much that, but when I was coming up, it was very much that. And I saw the more successful people being the pal. So that's what I did. And it was easy for me because my dad has a really filthy sense of humor. So I figured if I could tell the dirty jokes too and hang, no one would bother me. And for the most part that worked. I mean, I did have some issues, and Marta was in school with me, so she knows one of them. But you will never. Not everybody is cool, so you have to be careful who you put your faith in and who you trust opinions of. But if you surround yourself with good people and people that are doing what you want to do, like I was saying to somebody else, always be around the doers, not the complainers. So if you can do that, you're going to go farther.
I love that. I think Brene Brown, I saw her Netflix special on, I think it was Bravery. I don't know. Anyway, her 1 hour Netflix special, highly, highly recommend. She basically said, if you're criticizing and you're not on the court, you don't really get to like that doesn't come inside. Right. So
yeah. Armchair, what is it? There's a football term. Is it armchair quarterback or like Monday morning
Monday morning quarterbacking?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not the expert on football, but
I know.
But yeah, it's easy to criticize. It's easy to say. It's not as easy to live your values. But I also love what you're saying, because it's really about, so when you're in school, you kind of have to operate in the system that's already there. But when you're creating your career, you have absolute choice with what you say yes to, like you said, and then also who you surround yourself with, and who you look to as models. One of the things that I realized about my own career is like, I didn't really have a female role model or a female mentor I felt really close to. And that was very interesting at a certain point to realize like, oh, I don't know what a woman would do in this situation, because it's very clear to me I'm a woman, and I never really thought about it that way. So it wasn't just like, oh, I'm seen this way. It was just interesting.
I had the same problem. I mean, I didn't see women playing professionally on trombone, I think, until I was doing it. And it's not to say that there weren't. It's just, this was in the days before social media, so I just didn't see them. But that being said, I had a lot of people that were on my side, a lot of really good dudes that were on my side. So, I feel like I'm so lucky now that I can be I don't want to like give myself too much credit and call myself a mentor, but I can be a friend and maybe have some answers, or just be an ear to some of the younger people that are coming up. It makes me feel amazing that I could be something that I wish I'd had.
So wise. And well, yeah, I mean, they say be the change you want to see in the world, right? Be it. And that goes to what you've been talking about, which is be creating, be doing, and yeah, be being as well. But it's kind of everything. Eric just said LOL. Anyway, so tell us more. I see your huge collection of music behind you. It's prolific and so impressive.
There's more. They're just hidden.
I bet. What's in your collection? What do you guys listen to?
Oh, lately it's been it's upstairs. I have a couple CDs of Tuba Skinny. It's a phenomenal New Orleans band. It just blew my socks off. I get my metaphors mixed up. I was like, blew my skirt up. That also works. But so we saw them when they were just playing in the streets in New Orleans a couple years ago. And then this last time we actually went right after Mardi Gras, which is apparently when everybody in New Orleans was getting sick. We had no idea. We did not get sick. So I guess good for us. But we saw them perform live in a house. It looked like a house party, but it was sort of a bar. It was weird. But it was so much fun, and it just brings me so much joy to listen to that music. So even though I know it's going to be a while before we can go back, it's one of our favorite places in the world. So that's what I've been listening to upstairs. And of course, I have a stack of CDs of friends that I need to sit down and, like, we can do listening, while we're doing other things, which is usually how I do most of my listening. But to listen to friends' CDs, I feel like it needs to be active listening. And that takes me longer to get through them because, right. I tend to multitask. And so it takes me a while to actually just sit down and listen.
Same here. To really give music space with like the kind of headphones you're wearing and just like closing your eyes and really taking it in is deep attention, and
Yeah.
we don't spend a lot of that except when you're practicing that kind of thing. So, and you're married to another trombonist. What's that like?
It is awesome because we almost never talk about trombone. I mean, we talk about music in terms of just like, oh, this gig was this. It's so nice not having to explain why I need to take this gig or why I need to practice. Or, I grew up in a family that wasn't super supportive of the music thing. So he, like I said, he has a free pass to practice, to write, to travel, to do whatever gigs, free pass always. So, and I expect the same. And on the rare occasion where he'd be like, well, that doesn't pay enough. And I'll be like, not your call, man. So, but it's pretty like amazing to have that and just have that understanding. But we're never competitive for gigs because what we do is so different. So mostly the only place we play is in my band. And we have done the jazz cruise for like 10 years. We did it together. This past year I didn't do it, and I'm not sure if either one of us is doing it next year, if it happens. So we're waiting and seeing.
Well, that's all you can do for the moment, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Henry Nixon had just asked, he missed the name of the band from New Orleans.
Tuba Skinny.
Tuba Skinny.
Incredible band.
Okay, I'm putting that in this. All right. Cool. Well, how amazing. And you guys are just so fun and chill to hang out with. Tell us also, you're a pretty big foodie. You mentioned your cocktail hour. You're the kind of committed cocktail maker who's going to make the simple syrup on the stove and like really fully commit.
Yep.
And I know you also love going to some of your favorite places in New Orleans, but creatively, like what's striking you now in the kitchen, in the bar? How are you getting creative with your culinary pursuits?
Well, so I typically get inspired by recipes, and then and we're trying to limit trips to the grocery store, so I'll improvise stuff if I don't have it. I'm getting, with cocktails, I'm being a little bit more adventurous with flavor profiles, because the husband is cocktail wise, he's pretty like standard stuff, Manhattans, martinis. He makes a mean Cosmo. That was the first drink he ever made for me. But we had all this liquor that, we don't really go for the nicer bourbons and unless people are over. So I was trying to find ways to use like kind of the mid-level whiskeys and stuff in cocktails. And there's so much out there. And I have to say, I gave a list of to somebody. It's like, all you need are lemons, limes, some bitters, and you can do a lot of damage. If you have all the major liquor. Yeah, it's been fun. And then cooking wise, I've been baking bread, which is it's kind of meditative, just working with the dough and stuff. And I enjoy baking, and yeah, I'm getting into it. I'm making pork shoulder right now.
Wow.
And the recipe, I subscribe to the New York Times cooking app.
I love that.
Yeah.
So good. They have everything.
Not a good place to lose weight though.
No. Amazing.
Yeah.
So that sounds like it's many hours, but you're home many hours now, unlike usual.
Yeah. And I always enjoyed cooking, but I really haven't done it in several years. I think the last time I did it was probably 2013, where I got kind of on a cooking tear. But yeah, I do like to improvise. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
That's the nature of it, and you're used to improvising in a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all improvising right now, right?
Yes.
Go with what you know and improvise, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And tell us, well, it's funny, I've been baking bread as well, but I'm running out of bread flour. Are you having trouble finding bread flour?
Well, I usually use all purpose.
Okay.
So I have not been doing bread flour, and I have visited probably 3 or 4 stores to find flour recently. But I almost bought a 50-pound sack from Costco.
Okay.
because I would go through it. I have done that before.
Amazing. Again, full commitment. I love it.
But we have not purchased bread since this all started. I've been baking a couple loaves a week, and yeah, I have 10 pounds of flour in the house right now. That'll probably be gone in a couple weeks. So, but my store runs out of flour almost every time it gets it in. So I found a more expensive store down the road, and I'm not telling anybody where it is.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nice. I just realized that's my KitchenAid mixer where I make my bread. So it's something fun to do while you're doing laundry on the weekends.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Jen, it's so great to see you. It's so energizing always to talk to you and to reconnect. And I have such fondness for who you are and what you're doing. And if you're not following Jen on Instagram and Facebook, you should check it out. She has, for Question of the Day series.
With John Fedchock from
Shave Fedchock. It's so good, so funny. And how can they follow Bonegasm?
You can. So my website is www.jenniferwharton.com. I also own bonegasm.com. It's just bone and then gasm, like you think it's spelled. And and also we have a Facebook page, Jennifer Wharton's Bonegasm, and I have my own Facebook page. It's my profile is me playing. It's a really dark picture of me playing, but yeah, find me. And I have a YouTube channel too. Check that out. Everything's all the links should be on Instagram, the link in bio if anybody's interested. Excellent. And yeah, thank you for having me, Marte. I really dig, that you are trying to keep us creative people motivated and inspired. So thank you.
Yeah, connection is everything. So cool. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to our friends here and maybe we can take another moment. But in the meantime, everybody, I hope